Okay, everybody, Stephen Key. I'm back with my guest, Mark Portney. Wow, all the way from back east. Mark, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How about you, Stephen?
I'm doing well, thank you. It's summertime. Everything's great up at the lake. I know it's back east. You're probably getting a little warm out there. Yes,
Everything's great. I mean, everything's starting to get back to normal, frankly.
I'm
I
glad.
mean, the restaurants are back in action in the city, and it's great.
Good for you. Hey, let's talk about trusting. I mean, if you're listening, there's sooner or later you're going to have to work with somebody. And you're going to have to put a little faith, probably money, maybe yes, maybe no. But the bottom line, you need to be working with people. Sometimes you need to build a team. Sometimes you can do it by yourself. But the question I'm getting all the time, how do I find out or how do I determine the right person to work with? Because Mark, I'm hearing stories where I just picked the wrong guy. And before you know it, it was time, it was energy, it was money. I'm frustrated. How do you find the right guys to work with?
Well, I mean, it's the right guys or the right companies. I mean, there's companies out there that are doing it too. And one of the things that I pride myself on, and this isn't a look at me, I'm great interview. So I'm just going to tell you what I do and what everybody else should do. Just interview them. I mean,
Okay.
basically ask them, what have you done previously? What are you doing now? And see what that answer looks like, because some of them have a canned response, but I'm an old guy, right? So I'm not a young chicken. I like to talk to people on the phone. I like to reach out because I want to hear somebody trip over their tongue when I'm asking them these questions. With a with
All
an
right, all
inter,
right.
with the internet and the email, they can give you beautifully crafted responses, and oh, look at this, and I made up the fucking light bulb, but you didn't. And the reality is, if you just send me 3 grand, we're going to be in great shape. We're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Well, that's wonderful, but what are you doing now? What does that 3 grand get me? And why can't I pay you after I see some level of success?
Got it. Got it.
I'm not talking about education, Stephen. That's a different story. Education is you see the materials, you see an organization, and you agree to pay for that knowledge. Nobody's promising you a rose garden. They're just promising
Yeah.
you knowledge. That's a big difference.
Well, tell
Then
me,
then then
let's talk about that a little bit and then we'll circle back around. I read this article the other day. It was fascinating. They talked about there's a difference between experience and there's a difference between someone mastering a craft, right? Because you can have experience. It can be bad experience. Maybe you did something, didn't work, and now you're going to try to help others. But
right.
but what about if you really have mastered something that you repeatedly have shown success? Yeah, of course you failed a few times, you got back up, but you know how to do it. What's is there a difference to you in that being a master or just having experience?
Well, I mean, I joke about stuff like this. I say, you know what they call an expert? Somebody that's done it once before. And the reason I say that is, think about putting together like an office chair and you have 6 of them. The first one, you are breaking your chops trying to put it together, like, oh, A and B. By the time you get to the second one or even the third one, you're smacking it together without the instructions. What does
Okay.
that make you? That makes you an expert in putting together office chairs at that point.
Okay.
So I I I mean, I'm not answering your question at this juncture. I'm going to answer it now. Is of course you want to deal with the masters of their craft, but somebody who has more experience, there's always something to learn from somebody who's been down the pike before
Yeah,
you.
but
And
what if it's
hopefully,
taken me 10 years?
oh, then you're a moron.
Okay. Because
Super simple. I mean,
I
if you're doing
know,
anything for 10 years without result, then you need your head examined.
I
I
know,
mean,
I know.
legitimately.
All right, so let's get back. You're finding someone to work with. You're making sure they have current information. They probably have customers, maybe referrals, maybe even looking up them up on the internet. Yes, no?
You could. I mean, the internet really, I mean, all the dirt's on the internet. That's why when people Google me, I invite them to Google me. There's no dirt on the internet because I don't charge inventors a dime. I don't charge them for a phone call. And that's another thing. Like, if you pay me money and we'll do a phone call, like, what am I getting from the phone call? Like, what are we going to get? Let's have the phone call, and then I'll make a determination if what
Okay.
I've heard is worthy of parting with money if you're going to do that. I mean,
Okay.
you gotta. I mean, the internet's great. You can go on the internet and you can see if there's any dirt on them or if there's any praise. It can go both ways. But
Sure.
you know, I'll make a video. It's only 10,000. I'll do all of that stuff is a no-no in my opinion. I don't recommend it because all you're going to have at the end of $10,000 is a video. Then what do you do with it? There's so much noise on the
I know,
internet. What do you do?
but Mark, everybody, so many people out there, they want a prototype or they want this, they want that, but they don't have the total big picture. They always end up a little short. They always end up a little frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
But there, and then there's that person or that company out there saying, "Look, I can help you do this X, Y, and Z." And then what happens is the person maybe spends a little bit of money, but it's really time wasted as much, and they never
But you know
get what
what?
they're looking for. I mean, if they got what they, let's put it this way, if they paid for it and they got exactly back what they wanted, that'd be a different story. But it usually comes up short.
Yeah, you know what's fun? I love this. So because I'm in the space, I'll get a call from one of these cockamamie companies. Now, some of them are so big that the people that are making the calls don't know who they're calling, and they'll get me. They'll actually get me on the phone. They have no idea who they're talking to, and they'll go through the whole spiel, and I'm like, oh, wow, okay, great, no, that's fantastic. Oh, and what else are we gonna do together? Oh, we've got a database of 4 billion people, and we're gonna make you a multimillionaire in no time. Okay, this is fantastic, unbelievable. They really think they got me on the hook, and then I'm like, okay, what does this cost? And then they'll say, oh, it's only $5,000 as an initiation fee. And I go, I don't pay upfront money. Click. They don't even finish the conversation.
All
All
right.
I tell them is I don't pay upfront money and click. They're not even the courtesy to say, oh, well, I guess then it's not a match or something. Click. That's how they're doing it. It's a volume game. If they call 100 people that day and they get 10 people to do it, think of the money. Think about exponentially how much money they can make. Are they doing anything for the inventors? They're not doing a goddamn thing for the inventors, but are they lining
Yeah.
their own pockets with horse shit? Yes, they are.
Yeah, I tell everybody, look, if it sounds too good to be true, it's probably not going to be true. And do a little bit of homework,
Everything.
check everybody on the internet. But I think the thing that I look at is see what they've done, make sure it's current. Make sure it's not done 10 years ago, 5 years ago. Make sure it's current. And then look, see if they can actually produce some referrals, someone that you could talk to. And just
Mm-hmm.
kick the tires. I like what you said. Make it an interview. Interview them.
It
Interview
is.
multiple people.
It is an interview. It's the same thing as going on a date. When you go on a date and you meet a guy,
Yeah.
are you an axe murderer? Oh no, I'm not. Okay, fine, maybe we'll have a date.
But
But the bottom line is, why is that okay? Why is finding out okay in a date situation is any different than finding out in a business situation if you're a match?
yeah, but
Maybe
you
they're as legitimate as can be, but they still listen. If I'm sure there's a lot of people that come in contact with me that maybe I'm too much for them. Maybe I'm not what they expected. I'm much nicer than you would imagine. But at the end of the day, I am. I treat them like gold. But at the end of
I
the
know.
day, I'm not for everybody.
Yeah.
So even though I may be somebody that's not going to rip somebody off, I still may not be their cup of tea, and that's okay. That's
Yeah.
okay. As long as they don't get ripped off, that's what I'm talking
You know
about.
what I think what happens is that people get so excited, they get blinded by their product, right? And they don't really listen. They're not listening. They're not asking the right questions. They're jumping in. They hear what
People,
they want to. They hear what they, and they're hearing exactly what they want to hear, and then they
they're
dive in.
getting rolled with their own momentum. So if
Oh,
somebody's running at you, instead of punching them in the face, which would be mixing force with force, just roll backwards, stick your foot in their stomach, and flip them over. You're using their own momentum, and because
all
they're in
right.
love with their own baby, they will basically listen to anything. And all you have to do is tell them their baby's gorgeous, even though you know it's not. They go absolutely wild. Or tell them, I just got an email yesterday, a submission. I think it was $300 million this item was going to be worth. And I was like, shit, where do I sign? In the meantime, we all know the reality. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
If I was less of a person, I would say to him, oh, 300, that's light. I think we could do 500, you know? But instead I said to him, it's very lofty. It's very rare that anything like that happens. It may be a good item, but we have to manage your expectations because it's not happening, brother. It's just not happening. And if that costs me the submission, I don't care. At least I didn't screw somebody. And that's the difference.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. Thank you for watching. Once again, we have Mark on. Subscribe down below. Tell all your friends, and we'll see you next time. Mark, thank you very much.
There's a great idea in each of us. But it's truly magical to see it come to life. Sharing your creativity with the world has never been easier. We can help.